A few days ago, as I scrolled on my phone, a sponsorship ad made me shudder. Dressed like a real essay. Title: 52% of millionaires plan to retire on $100,000 a year. Here is the logo of one of China's best-known wealth managers. That number actually feels right, doesn't it? $100,000 somehow became an informal. I made it, but I am not flashy retirement income. At the dinner table, on podcasts, and all the other personal finance blogs you've read, this is where I can't help it. Looking for the source. I look for research, samples, methods, anything verifiable and unimaginable. No white papers, no SSRN, links, not even footnotes. That means the headlines are either from internal customer data, or conveniently never published, or, more likely, the number was reverse, engineered into a headline. Hey, what is going on? I'm Aaron. I'm glad you're here. Hyping that ad wasn't the real point. The deeper I dig into the problem, increasingly, it is not an interesting story at all, because when you put together the actual data released by the Federal Reserve, JPMorgan Chase, Fidelity, Morningstar, and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, there are some interesting stories. Here is what pops up on the page. Millionaires don't spread their retirement spending over a broad, comfortable range. They came together. The cluster is almost obsessed with $70,000 to $120,000 a year in land. Once a family sits at $1 million and a family sits at $5 million, their spending tends to be strikingly similar at retirement age. There are reasons, but there are actually a few. Personal finance rarely discusses these issues. Honestly, that is exactly what we're going to do today. Let's start with numbers that no one shows on a thumbnail. The Federal Reserve's FRED database tracks average annual spending by retired households. The latest data in 2024 is $59,000, $6.16 million. The previous year, 5,788,666,000 people climbed, less than 100,000. The median annual cost for American retirees is between $50,000 and $65,000. Period. The number of isolated households with higher income and net worth climbed to about 700,000 to 100,000. This is the band I keep coming back to. But grab the details, because it is important. This is the actual expenditure. The money leaves the bank account, not what people report when asked what they plan to spend after retirement. And the two numbers, you'll see right away, almost never match. Counterintuitive. You assume that as net worth rises, so does spending. More money means more lifestyle. This assumption is completely wrong. Morningstar and JPMorgan research consistently show that when net worth doubles, retirement spending will not double. In fact, the curve flattened. As assets grow, wealthy households spend less. This tells me something important. Retirees don't sit around 64 and invent $100,000. The system is pushing them into this range through the mathematical calculations of substitution rates, social security structures, tax ratings, IRMAA thresholds, and sustainable withdrawals. Everyone worked together to get people into the same hallway. The real question is not why retirees want $100,000 a year. The real question is why, no matter who asks, America's retirement structure always gives the same answer. Below is the next floor. This time, it changes how you should read every retirement forecast you've ever seen. We treat retirement spending like a flat line, like $100,000 at 65, $100,000 at 85. But data from the accounts of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and JPMorgan Chase paint a very different picture. Between the ages of 65 and 74, you are in the window of peak consumption. Travel, dining out, bucket list, second home. New cars are eating into budgets. From 75 to 84, consumption began to decline quietly and gradually. After 85, the line fell off a cliff. It is about intuition. No one booked 3 trips to Europe at 8 or 7. Kitchen renovations rarely happen at age 90. You may have heard of David Blanchett's framework, Retirement Spending Smile. Because of medical costs, spending falls in the middle of retirement and then rises at the end of life. The concept has been cited everywhere. Here is what has almost never been quoted. Because, in Blanchett's own follow-up, once extreme medical outliers are excluded, the smile largely disappeared. As the curve slides down and flattens, The same goes for income levels and family types. Sit down. A family spends $122,000 a year at age 67 and may not spend $122,000 at age 82. The reason is not that the money is running out, because their lives have changed. They travel less, live simpler, eat more at home. At 60, their priorities changed unexpectedly. Establish retirement plans around a fixed number. For example, I need $100,000 a year for 30 years, which means you may have gone too far. Because real retirement spending is not a line. It is an arc. One with your energy, health. Your changing definition of enough is always more honest than a spreadsheet that assumes inflation stabilizes at 3% a year for 30 years. Another reason is that the 720,000 range is surprising. Ultimately, it depends on how we talk about wealth and how it actually happens. When the media throws out the word millionaire, your brain will most likely give you a beach house and a Porsche, $300,000 a year. There are also 2 trips to Italy on the calendar. But this photo depicts a rogue millionaire, not a typical millionaire. Outliers absolutely destroy averages. About 75% of millionaire households have net worth between $1 million and $3 million, according to Federal Reserve data. And those who raise the average, 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, it is a small part of the population. When you hear millionaires spend X on average, that number is almost always overstated by a minority who have nothing in common with the median true millionaire. The second turning point came quietly, and most people missed it. Assessing retirement income based on work income can lead you astray, because these are 2 completely different systems. When you work, 10 to 15% of your salary will disappear into your savings. Fika took another bite. Then you pay for commuting, lunch, suits, daycare, a second car. All of this. Excluding these costs, $100,000 in retirement income is not equal to $100,000 in work income. It actually extends farther. However, people hear about 100,000 retirees and compare them with current wages. It is not the same math problem at all. Superimposing these 2 distortions, average and median, and the ratio of work income to retirement income, the gap between the public psychological picture of millionaire spending and reality is starting to make more sense. But why is there such a precise range? Because 3 different forces are pushing the same answer, and the corridor is not arbitrary at all. Unit 1, replacement rate. Most households end up spending 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income, according to JPMorgan research. So the retirement target for $100,000 earners is 70 or 80. The target for 150,000 earners is 90 to 120. Fidelity actually stuck to its goal. It is suggested that for families without pensions and moderate expenditure, the substitution rate should be as low as 4 to 5%, although 70 to 80% are still the default benchmark for the industry. The quiet data points most people miss are behind all this. A typical household with $1 million in investable assets at retirement tends to peak at $90,000 to $150,000 a year. That means replacement math removes them, not surprisingly, 70,000 to 120,000 corridors. Electricity, 2. Revenue superposition. Retirement income never flows out of the tap. It arrived in layers. Fidelity said that the total annual Social Security of married millionaire families was $30,000 to $60,000. The $1 million-ish portfolio added another $48,000 in portfolio returns. Add the 2 together, and you're back in the same band, 70,000 to 120,000 a year. Third, portfolio mathematics. Morningstar's latest research. Hot news. The Safe Start withdrawal rate in 2026 is set at 3.9%. It rose slightly from 3.7% in 2025. Sustainable withdrawals of $30,900 to $97,700 per year, considering a portfolio of $1 million to $25 million. Then put Social Security on it. The hallway approaches you again. 4 different approaches. 4 different sets of data from the Federal Reserve, Fidelity, JPMorgan Chase, and Morningstar. They gave roughly the same answer. It is no coincidence. It is a system that tells you something loud and clear. Structurally, what drives the cluster effect? There are three reasons. First, Social Security creates a bottom line. Most households rely on Social Security as a baseline, covering a large part of annual spending before portfolio shocks. The figure for 2026 has just fallen, after adjusting the cost of living by 2.8%. Retirees now earn an average of about $27.1 a month. The average monthly income for retired couples totals about $32,008. But nuance has changed the situation for millionaires. Because millionaire families tend to marry, they have two long-term income histories behind them. That means their comprehensive Social Security is usually close to 57,000 years, not the national average. Such a large profit margin covers most of the annual expenses before the portfolio must be sold. Second, most millionaires sit together, not scattered. I've mentioned this before, and it is worth your time. 75% of millionaires have household net worth between $1 million and $3 million. So imagine a typical example. A $1.5 million portfolio with a 4% withdrawal rate generates $60,000 a year, plus a married couple, a Social Security of about 45,000 yuan. The total amount of registered land is 15,000 yuan. It was almost a dead end for our return band. Math always gives the same answer. Third, spending is out of proportion to wealth. Even if net worth doubles, disproportionate spending. Several forces explain why. Core costs like housing, food, and healthcare do not expand significantly with wealth beyond a certain threshold. Time and energy are constraints, not money. As they age, most retirees naturally gravitate towards simpler lifestyles, no matter how much money is in the brokerage account. Few people in their 70s wake up thinking my portfolio is bigger. I should spend more, because human psychology just can't do that. What follows is something the planning industry rarely admits publicly. Most retirement models assume you spend 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income. That is the plan, but the actual results look different. Fidelity, Morningstar, and EBRI consistently found that 60 to 80% of retirees ended up spending less than expected. The gap is more pronounced among upper middle class and millionaire families. Several forces explain this. With age, consumption naturally decreases. In addition, with the improvement of consumption capacity, consumption willingness has also weakened. I recently had dinner with a group of people in their 80s and 90s. Somehow, the conversation shifted to buying clothes, what I happen to like to do. Everyone at that table told me, I haven't bought new clothes in years, just renovated existing ones, and I don't need them. This sentence has been haunting me, because it is not about money at all. It is about scarcity. Most retirees also have a built-in, just-in-case instinct. Sitting on cash they never needed, half caution, half habit, and huge spending on ambition. World cruise, second home in the mountains, Tuscany year. Many of them won't happen at all. Not because you can't afford it. The reason is that people don't end up wanting these things the way they think. As the saying goes, wherever you go, you are there. Retirement doesn't make you another person. You have the same habits, preferences, and hesitations. The other belongs here. According to the 2026 Retirement Confidence Survey, just released by the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the study found that retirement confidence actually declined this year. Workers and retirees cope with inflation and healthcare costs, and the future of Social Security and Medicare. This fear factor is very important, because it pushed people to spend even less than the data expected. Just-in-case instincts are getting stronger, not weaker. Here are the reasons why the 70,000 to 120,000 range is really adhered to. Most YouTube videos skip this section entirely. After retirement, income is no longer what happens to you, because in fact, you have more control over it than at any time at work. Smart retirees use this control with surgical precision. This corridor is not just about lifestyle. IRMAA realized that the corridor was tax planned. Calibrate how Social Security taxes are levied. Here are the facts. Retired families have been deciding where their next money will come from. A departure from the traditional IRA would push up taxable income. Mr. Ross's withdrawals are completely invisible to the tax system. Capital gains can be realized today or postponed until next year. Every decision has real consequences. Withdrawing too much money from a traditional IRA will make a larger portion of your Social Security taxable. Recognize that too many returns can jump from 0% of capital gains to 15% or 20%. A dollar above the IRMAA threshold will trigger Medicare Part B and Part D full-year surcharges. IRMAA cliff is more important than most people realize. In 2026, the first IRMAA rating applies to single applicants with a revised adjusted total income of $190,000 and a combined adjusted total income of $218,000 for married couples. On this line, $1 means a full 12 months of Medicare premium growth. The system does not charge proportionally. The system doesn't care if you accidentally miss it. Medicare is more important than people think, because most retirees don't know where the brackets are until a letter appears in an email. Among them, full disclosure. That is why I worked with Chapter. This is an unbiased Medicare counseling service that you can call free if you are at or near Medicare age. They evaluate your current plan based on your prescription, doctor, and location. Find the right medical and financial talent. Links and phone numbers are in the instructions below. It is really worth trying. Get back on track. Strategic retirees don't sit down and announce that I want to make $100,000. They decide Ross and tradition, realize and extend when to apply for Social Security. These sweeping decisions would naturally leave them below the crucial tax threshold. It happened to be the same $720,000 corridor. A veiled hint emerged. Some retirement spending data is invisible because families that take money from Ross never show it on their tax returns. This means that researchers who study retiree spending may actually underestimate the spending of wealthy families because most of the money flows through accounts that never generate 1099. The bottom line is here. Millionaire families gather in the area because the system rewards them for gathering here. Going abroad means the tax code starts charging you. Some honest warnings need to be broadcast. Because it is not a universal rule, corridors have real collapses. Early retirees face an entirely different reality. Because retirement at 55 means no Social Security. Therefore, the portfolio must bear the full burden alone. Paying people play different games. These families deliberately use 230,000 households a year as a lifestyle baseline. Sitting outside the band was designed. Higher cost of living areas like the California coast or Manhattan have structurally pushed up baseline spending. This moves the entire corridor up. The 70 to 120 range describes a pattern, not a rule. Knowing where the model doesn't work is as important as knowing where it exists. Personal finance is still personalized. These numbers are not tailored to your specific situation. Finding your number means running your number. That is what I want you to accept. This corridor of 70,000 to 120,000 people was not deliberately chosen by anyone. If you give them a blank check, most people won't choose. When a series of constraints are applied at the same time, the range appears. Similar portfolio size, similar withdrawal rates, similar Social Security benefits, similar tax ratings, similar longevity risks. Let different people pass the same set of rules and get the same answer every time. That means when a headline announces that 52% of millionaires plan to retire on $100,000 a year, the numbers themselves are not real lies. The framework is, because the framework makes you believe it is a choice. In fact, gravity is eroding the entire American retirement system. What do you think of the millionaire families clustered in the area? Does this pattern match what you see in your plans or in the people around you? Put your thoughts in the comments. Yes, new videos appear every week. If there is something in the book that suits you, click the like button. If you're new, consider signing up. For anyone at or near Medicare age, check out some links and phone numbers in the description below. See you next time. Take care.